Hey guys, hello, we keep it dirty off-road, and welcome back to our custom console series for our Gen 1 Raptor. In the previous videos, we showed you guys how to remove the center console, how to cut up the base and get it installed, and then in the last video, we covered how to get the shifter integrated. In this video, we're going to focus on wiring and getting the console ready for testing. We're going to finish up our cup holders. We're going to get the truck sound treated because that ended up being a problem. And then finally, we're going to take it out and do a proper shakedown test of the base console to see if it has any rattles or anything like that. Let's start off with wiring. My truck already had a radio and an intercom, so what I ended up having to do is basically modify that harness that was used to power both so that I can shorten it and use it all within the center console. Next, I need to get the radio, the intercom, and all the actual buttons wired up inside the actual console itself. Good progress on the cabling. So you see, I like to label everything, and of course we had to go green. Radio's in, radio's wired up. We do have some cable management, like I'm gonna have the headsets come out the back. I am gonna put some plastic around the openings so that it doesn't damage the cable. I'm gonna try to zip tie as much as I can, right? Like if I can, I'm gonna try to reuse these and have the cable secured to the side somehow. Push the talk for the driver's side is there. I gotta do some cable management down there. Passenger side though, you guys notice is not connected because the cable's not long enough. I have a little button right there. Little button right there, and I have it going through there, so I have to get an extension cable from PCI to make it here, but that's not a big deal. We'll get that going. Making really good progress, guys. Almost everything connected. And then finally, we finished getting all the plates secured and everything in place, and here's where we ran into our first major problem. So last night, as we were trying to get this figured out, we ran into a problem where those right there, those connectors are not long enough for that. And because of the way that cable gets fed through like this bottom area that goes down here, I can't pull out enough slack. So today, I'm going to take my rail off, which I'm not looking forward to it, to see where I can put the end. Because either it goes back in its stock location or I figure something else out. I don't know. It might end up being an opportunity, right? Because one of the things I do want to do eventually is I still want to get the air from that vent out the back. So if the amp's not there, I can reuse the stock vent panel somehow. I may have to like cut it, maybe cut this section out so that it comes out right. Fabricate a piece that brings it down, right? You know, something like this that'll allow me to send air out the back. I don't know, maybe it's an opportunity. We'll see. Gotta figure it out. For the umpteenth time, we had to remove the console yet again just to relocate the amp. Our extra rails also came in, so we got those installed here so we can try out our cup holders and prepare for some other that customization later. Because the edges are pretty sharp, we did get some door edge guards and we're gonna put it on here. Now, everything is raw metal right now because I want to put this all together and give it a shakedown run before I put paint to it. I also want to test it out to see if there's any other changes I want to make, because I don't want to paint this and realize I got to drill more holes and all this stuff in it. And I think we're going to end up doing a Cerakote too, but for now, we're going to get this installed and protect our truck. We spent some time wrestling with the edge guards and finally did get them installed, and definitely worth it, guys, to protect our interior. Yeah, there we go. Edge guards are in place. Hopefully it doesn't ruin this. And then we may add some too in any areas that we feel like. This part I'm not too worried about. This is nice and curved. If we have any other areas pinching, we'll add it on there too. We ended up installing the amp a little bit farther back and flipped it over so that we can use the cables that were there, and actually ended up getting installed on that metal bracket that holds the console to the truck. Then we wired everything back up. And we got all the interiors back into the truck and we did a test drive. All right, so she's finally in. Everything's still raw, but all the cables and everything's in where it needs to be. I still need to figure out how to secure the little SD card reader, but she is basically where she's at. Seats are where they need to be. I got my little cables for the headsets back here. And the goal now is to test it. Test it out, see if we get any rattles or anything like that, see how it handles other trails, and make sure everything works. Make sure everything works. Like, I still have to do a couple of things, right? Like the cigarette lighters or the 12 volts, I'm not gonna wire those in until we're done because they're bitch to take out. So that's not gonna happen until after we paint it. Now the 12 volts already in. The second set of switches, I need to spend some time wiring that. So we're gonna do a separate video on just wiring that thing in case any of you guys wanna use it. And most of the time that tends to go here, right? RPG's kit normally has it going right there. But yeah, everything works. Radios are on. The top radio also needs to be wired, but I don't have an antenna or a splitter or anything like that for that, so we're not going to do that right now. And oh yeah, and I need to figure out my cup holder situation on the other side. Normally it doesn't have rails there. So see the silver rails? Normally those rails are not there. We added them because I need to have a different way to hold stuff over there. Now here's where we found our biggest snag so far. There's no sound treatment under the console whatsoever. It's all bare metal, and the actual console did all the sound treatment for that section of the truck. So driving down the road, I was getting a bunch of noise from my right side under the console. All that noise, all that road noise, the exhaust, everything was coming in to that side, and it was a very uncomfortable feeling. I didn't like it. You know, and especially because my left side was fairly quiet, right? Right next to the glass, it's fairly quiet, but the other side was just loud with so much noise going on back there. So we decided that we needed to do some sound treatment. Now, rather than just get sound treatment underneath the truck, we decided to do the whole cab, get the whole cab sound treated. We could have done this ourselves, but it's a lot of work and I wanted it done right. So we hired the guys out at Expert Auto Upholstery. Todd there gave us a really great quote to get all the stuff done with sound mat material. It's a very thick sound mat material. He also has a ton of experience with Raptors and pre-runners, so he knows these trucks very well, and I knew my truck was going to be in really good hands and it's going to get done right with him. And you don't realize how little sound treatment these things have, so they take it apart. While the interior was completely out, we also got to look at the amp harness and realize there really is no option to relocate it because of the way it goes through there in the middle. There's that big harness there in the middle for all the airbags and all that stuff, so we couldn't really relocate it. Do you happen to have the old filters?
The other one's on there. Yeah, it's right there.
It's one of those dumb ideas that was worth a try. Holy crap. It's all that fine dust that gets in. After the first day, the roof and the rear of the cab was done. And before you know it, on day 3, she was done. Oh, dude, what a difference.
Sure.
Dude. And you did the trim panel here, which that just looks cool, dude.
Top. No more tinny sound.
So this panel right here, this is that plastic you use, right?
That is actually made out of the waterproof panel board, and then it's covered over in vinyl, a matching Ford vinyl.
And then you put a little foam on it though, right?
Yeah.
That looks good, man.
Yeah, we do closed cell foam that all needs to be sanded to be able to get the nice flat tapered edges covered in the vinyl. Yes.
And then you just cut up the stock panels, right, to get that look?
Mm-hmm.
So the stock panels all push in. Is this connected to that, or is that separate?
It
cool.
Is. Yeah.
So if I want to take that off, it's just a matter of just pulling?
There's a few different clips. I think there's like 5 clips on there. I can kind of show you where those are, so you'd have to get a pry tool in there.
I have one of those pry tools that allows you to split it.
Exactly. So like that goes and pops them all off.
Yeah.
So they could be serviceable. You could take out that console, whatever you need to do.
Fuck, dude. It smells different.
Does it?
Yeah. And did you have any issues with the rivets or anything like that? That all went in good?
It's all went in just fine. We did put the carpet in first before we put the nut certs in, and then had to take it back out to put the nut certs in. But
I was really happy with the work we got from Todd and Expert Auto Upholstery. He actually did my vent filters too. It's one of those weird, funny ideas, and I'm glad it worked out. Now let's talk sound levels after all the treatment. Overall, my initial impressions was the cab is that much quieter. Way less road noise, way less wind noise. So we decided to take some sound measurements too to confirm, to show the before and the after. on average, we're seeing about a 5 decibel difference. It doesn't sound like much, but road noise and wind noise is way down on the truck. It's a whole lot more comfortable in the cab because of it. My exhaust is still loud. You can still hear the exhaust, but you really can't attenuate that with sound treatment, right? You really need to go for like a different exhaust to do that. And honestly, I would rather hear my exhaust. I actually really enjoy hearing that loud exhaust out the back of the truck, especially when I'm on the trail. So I don't want that attenuated. Wind noise, road noise, that's all very much reduced. And it's a whole lot more comfortable taking this on a ride, because before there was no sound treatment whatsoever, and this truck was loud on a road trip. Now we needed to figure out cup holders because I needed a way to hold drinks. And here are the results of that. So this is what we start off with. This was a cup holder in the car. This thing is off. Put a water bottle in there and it doesn't really hold it, right? It moves around, especially when you're off-roading. It's way too much movement. Now the plan was to use the cup holder that came with the kit. It's a 2-part piece. A little bit better hold, right? Once that's put together, that'll hold, the fingers will hold that better. But the way we had to mount that, it was going to take up way too much space. We made this little custom bracket to put it onto the side, and it just takes up way too much real estate on the console, and I didn't like it because it reduces my storage, and I still wanted to keep some kind of storage. So here's what we came up with. What I did is I went back to GroveFabWorks and then make me this bended bracket, and then we got the cup holder from the Gen 2 Raptors. It's the part number for those that want to order it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this up, cut up the bottom. I have to drill out the holes so that they're a little bit bigger so it can hold what we need to hold. And then I'm going to see if I can wire up that LED light that was wired into the center console, wired into here, and see if I can get the lights to work too. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this drilled up, get it ready, figure out how it's going to mount in there, get that drilled out, and get it done. Okay, console's all back together. We even did the plate for this, so now that's out in the back. I was gonna hide this, but I had an extra plate back here, so I figured we'd use it for that. Got our switches. This is the only one wired up right now. We're gonna do a separate video and get this thing wired up. This thing normally goes up there. It's a nice, cool kit from RPG, so we'll show you guys how that works. We're not gonna wire these because once these are in, they're a bitch to get out. So these aren't gonna be wired, but this is gonna be wired. We'll use that for power for now. This radio is wired in with an antenna to the intercom, and all the switches and all that stuff work. This radio, I need to figure out a power center, as well as I need to route my second antenna. You cannot run 2 radios off of 1 antenna. On a follow-up video, I'm going to show you guys how to do a power center under here so that we can power everything off of 1 power, obviously with fuses, and then we'll get this thing wired up so that we have 2 radios going and we can do what we want to do. And that'll give us 3 channels total that we can transmit on. Now we just got to figure out the location of where I want this and drill it out. Now we quickly got everything assembled together, got all the panels, and got everything set up for our final assembly. We got all of our gear in place to really see where the best location was going to be for the cup holder so that we can take advantage of the space as much as possible. And then we went ahead and installed it with some rib nuts to hold it in place and make it easy to remove later. Cup holders in, dealing with some bad rivets, unfortunately, rib nuts, whatever the hell. So when we paint this, I'm gonna have to redo some of these down here because they were pretty shit. This is in, everything's in, Joe's ready for test. I think the only thing that sucks is no armrest. We tried to do the armrest here, but this bolster is huge. Apparently it's like at an angle, it's all kinds of crap, so we couldn't do it there. Finally, she is done and it's time to go test. Now it was time to test. We put the word out on Instagram for a Kramer to Barker run, and the goal really was to go check out Barker Ranch. Barker Ranch is right at the edge of Death Valley National Park, better known as the Manson Hideout. This is actually where they captured him and his entourage. Now, overall, I'm really happy with the console and how it turned out. Radios, intercoms, all the switches, everything was super easy to access. I could do most of it blind. I didn't have to look down. Nothing flew out of its place. Cup holder stayed in place, gear stayed in place, and the best news of it all was there was no rattles or nothing coming from the console. There was no noise coming from the console, which was a big worry of mine. And it all worked out really great, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now, we're not actually done. We're about halfway through. We still have a couple items that we need to address. One, I need to do a power center inside the console so that everything is wired to the battery, but also is wired independently and has its own fuse. So I will be doing a power center here in an upcoming video. I also want to add a speaker box behind the console here to fit like a 10-inch or 12-inch subwoofer and give me better sound in the truck because the factory sub is awful. And then I'm hoping that also serves as a nice little platform so that I can do vents to the back somehow and have fixed the whole structure to do that, and then attach some armrest to that thing so I have some armrest going down the trail. We actually got these Range Rover style armrests. See, they're like the Range Rovers are adjustable, and our plan was to put these on the sides of these seats, but these seats have about a 2 to 3 inch bolster here, and it would have required completely stripping them and building this whole structure just to support these. I didn't want to do that. That's a lot of work. So I'm hoping that we can mount these to a box. We're going to get a whole plate system and get some armrests because I do miss my armrest. And then finally, we still need to paint this. And I think the option we're going to do is we're going to Cerakote it. We're going to work with Pedro from Dynamic Weapon Solutions to get the whole center console Cerakoted. We still haven't figured out the color yet. Not sure what we're going to do there. But yeah, get it all painted up once we're all done and done with it. So we still have a lot to go on the center console, guys. Put any questions and comments below. Everything we've used to make this console is going to be in the description across this video series, from our files to the parts. Everything we use, we're going to include down there. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date on this build. I will still have a few things that we want to do to the truck because of it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys on the next one.